It's working.
Okay.
Okay, it's all online.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's not
Shabbat
8:15
Shalom.
yet.
It is 8:15.
Oh, not on this clock. Okay, there's
Oh,
nobody online yet. There's one person.
okay.
No, there are probably more people.
If a tree falls in the shul, no, I don't know. You start.
Go ahead, Carrie.
Anyway, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Rabbi Dan, always great to see you. And Cantor Leigh Korn, what a pleasure to see you here on our Zoom screen. Temple Shalom, we're in for such a treat. Cantor Korn is an old friend of mine. We were classmates in HUC for 5 years together. And Cantor Korn Leigh is really just a treasure of our reform movement. He comes to us tonight from California, from Lafayette, California, Northern California, at Temple Isaiah. And some of you who have been to URJ biennials have seen Cantor Corn leading the conducting the choir. He's such a talent, and it's just exciting to have you here, Leigh, to be able to lead services once again together. So we'll begin with our Kabbalat Shabbat. We're gonna just be using our Sidurim from home. If you do want to follow along, you can find a link to the PDF of our service on our website, templeshalom.ca/video, or just sit back and enjoy and sing along as we welcome Shabbat.
We open tonight with a nigun, the opportunity to really sing our hearts. What an amazing thing the Hasidic tradition brought to us, this idea that we could sing without words. Reb Nachman taught that there were 10 levels of prayer, but the very highest one of all was song, was music. And so we come with a nigun because we all come from a different place on this Shabbat. Perhaps we've had a really wonderful week. Perhaps we've heard exciting news this week, or we've had moments of great joy. And for others, we are tired. We have worked hard. We come to this place, perhaps even in sorrow. And so we begin with the nigun, allowing our heart to sing, not trying to assign words to it, for music can transcend even the most profound language that we could speak. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Leigh.
We turn now to the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat. Indeed, even in the Psalms, we find the words, "Come, let us sing." We are called to sing. We are called to sing praise to God and to warm up our voices and warm up our bodies and really get ready for the prayers that lie ahead. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria letzuyishenu, nekadma fanav betoda. Naria, naria letzuyishenu, Bizmirot naria lo. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Hey, yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, hey, yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yeram hayam, yeram hayam, yeram hayam umelo. 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 Yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehakodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehakodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehakodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehakodsho.
So wonderful. We are going to prepare now to welcome the Sabbath bride in this really wonderful metaphor of this cosmic wedding of love between the Jewish people and God, and really that connection that we find in finding God within our relationships to one another. We celebrate on Shabbat. And so we will turn to page 138 as we prepare for Lecha Dodi.
Lecha dodi lichrat kalai, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat, nekabela. Lecha dodi lichrat kalai, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat, nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, hishmi'anu el hamyuchad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad, Hashem u'tiferet ve'litila. Lecha dodi lichrat kalai, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat, nekabela. Lecha dodi lichrat kalai, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat, nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, ki hi mekor haberacha. Merosh mikedem nesucha, sof maaseh b'machshava tchila. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללה, 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 בשבת לקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללה, 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 בשבת לקבלה. התעוררי, כי באורך ומהורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני, עלייך נקרא, לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללה, 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 בשבת לקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללה, 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 בשבת לקבלה. We rise now to greet the Sabbath bride, whether we rise physically in body or in spirit. בואי ושלום עצרת בלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמונה עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללה, 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 בשבת לקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללה, 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 בשבת לקבלה.
We have psalms that help us get into the spirit of Shabbat, but none no more so than Mizmor Shir LeYom HaShabbat, this song that is just about Shabbat and really the beauty of this day and the chance to just acknowledge the miracles around us each day as well. So we'll continue together, page 140.
שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני. וזמר לשמך עליון, וזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, באמונתך בלילות. צדיק התמר, צדיק התמר יפרח, כארז בלבנון ישגה. שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. עוד ינובון בשיבה, תשנים דרננים יהיו. להגיד כי אשר אדוני, צורים ולא עוולתה בו.
Thank you, Cantor Korn, for helping us enter Shabbat with such beautiful melodies. We're going to transition now to Ma'ariv as we continue with Chatzi Kaddish on page 263. At home, you can rise if you so choose, as we'll join together.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביום אחד, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בגלה בגלה, ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולם לעולמי המיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל, שמי דקודשא בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמא, ויאמרו אמן. Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai.
You may be seated at home. This was one of the most perfect weeks of Vancouver weather I think I can ever remember having in April. It was just peak, Leigh, I don't know if you've ever been to Vancouver, but it was like the cherry blossoms are at their peak. The skies were blue, the mountains still have snow, and it was, like 20 degrees Celsius, about 72 degrees Fahrenheit. It was just
You
perfect.
beat California this week.
Yeah. And I know that the forecast for the next number of days, as long as my phone tells me the forecast, is just for rain. That's all there is ahead of us, is rain. And sometimes it can be like, I don't even want to know how many days of rain are ahead of us. But the truth is that all of, not just the seasons as they move to and fro, and the time of day with the light and the darkness and all these different cycles of nature that we acknowledge in this part of our service before the Shema, it's these patterns of weather that can really affect our attitudes and our way of feeling. But some of it is just about the perspective we bring to it. If we come to our surroundings, our atmosphere, the nature around us with a sense of wonder and awe, even the rainiest of days, the coldest of days, can still be days that are filled with great spirit and gratitude. And as we acknowledge nature around us each day, we know that is truly one of the most sacred and profound ways that we can exist in relationship to the divine, but also just with an acute sense of, I think, peace and awareness of the world around us. So let's join together in Ma'ariv Aravim on page 265. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim. B'chochma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishana itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim b'mishmeroteim, b'rakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom u'mevi layla, uma'avdil ben yom uvein layla, Adonai tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid imloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Ma'ariv Aravim. Amen. We'll continue Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Torah משפטים אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו משיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו לאורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת פעם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמן.
One of the things about these prayers around the Shema is that we can think about them as being in the past, as things that happened, like when we chanted Ahavat Olam, of revelation, of Torah being given on Mount Sinai, as we're about to sing Mi Chamocha, of redemption, of our escape from slavery into freedom. But we can also think about these prayers as being either present tense or future tense, as things that we aspire to ongoing or to more revelation, that we aspire towards redemption or more freedom in our world. And I know for myself and for so many around the world, this past week, having seen the trial, the end of the trial of Derek Chauvin in my hometown of Minneapolis, that indeed it something that should have been obvious, that justice should be something that can always happen, but doesn't happen all of the time. That our idea of redemption and justice has an ideal, but there's also this notion that we have to seek it in an ongoing way and in our future. And we took one step forward, I think, in the way in which justice can be something that is for everyone in society, that we see that as we know from the quote from Martin Luther King, that the arc of justice is long, that it does bend towards some sense of of redemption and progress in the moral universe. but we sing tonight of justice and freedom as our ancestors did, and that we will continue to do as we look forward as well. Mi Chamocha is on page 270.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Nora tehilot osef eleh, Nora tehilot osef eleh, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Malechutecha rahu banecha, Pokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze'eliyanu ve'ameru, Ze'eliyanu ve'ameru, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Nora tehilot osef eleh, Nora tehilot osef eleh, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed.
We'll continue now with Hashkivenu as we prepare that we should find God's sheltering presence among us tonight.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashivenu leShalom. Ve'ha'amidenu shomrenu lechaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Hashivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashivenu leShalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Perhaps tonight you're hearing new melodies, new settings. And sometimes you might wonder, do we really need another Ose Shalom? Do we really need another Lachadodi? But I like to think that every time a composer writes a new setting, a cantor imagines a new melody, a singer brings their voice to new song, they have something new to say. We pray these words every week and we find deep meaning in them. But every now and then things might shake us up a little bit. And sometimes it is exactly that melody that says, listen to something a little bit differently. Music is midrash. It lays a new layer of meaning on top of text that is already familiar to us. So this Bishamru, for instance, may be a new melody for your community. I'm actually not sure. Perhaps it's not. But for some of you, it might be one that's not familiar. It's not the one you remember from your childhood. I invite you to open your eyes and your mind and your heart to what this Vishamru can bring to you. This music that'll enhance the text, reminding us of this observance of Shabbat, that gift we get every single week. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש שבת ויהי נפש וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש שבת ויהי נפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
So as we prepare now for the Amidah, I'll invite Rabbi Dan to join us as we turn to page 274.
Thank you, Rabbi Brown. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. You can rise in your homes or in your hearts if you're comfy on your sofa or your bed. We don't know if you're not getting up. It's okay. Page 274 as we enter into conversation with God, the Amidah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechaye HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia Morid Hatal מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Amen. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. If you stood, please be seated. We'll continue page 277, Kadshin.
May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat, Shabbat. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat, Shabbat. Kadshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'tein chalkenu b'toratecha. Sabeinu mituvecha, v'samchenu b'shuatecha. V'taher libeinu le'odecha be'emet, v'taher libeinu. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. Baruch atah Adonai, Baruch atah Adonai, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Leigh, I love what you did there. I mean, I know Noam Katz did it, but you did it with him, to take that passage that sits in our Siddur that so often we read, and we read it with meaning and with feeling, but then to set it to music, to find a new place, a new space for it at a new level of depth. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. We're going to continue on page 279, again, if you're following along with us, with Retzeh. I just kind of want to sit back and listen. I don't really want to talk anymore. Leigh, here in Vancouver, we've suddenly now been able to start to distribute the vaccine uh, with more success to more people. And we've been, for the first time in a while, envious of the United States, I will say. And so many in our congregation who've received the vaccine this week, or have at least made appointments to, for all of those that are watching online, I think that all of us that have had that opportunity have begun to really appreciate the idea of hoda'ah, the idea of a prayer of gratitude, what it really means to be able to say thanks for the blessings in our lives. And so often those blessings are oftentimes quite pedestrian, but to receive a vaccine, a life-saving vaccine that, as I wrote to the congregation this week, is not only one that saves your life, but saves the lives of others, to do that double mitzvah. That is, I think, exactly what our tradition says we should be focusing on when we come to this prayer of hoda'ah, when we come to this moment of gratitude, to not let those moments pass by without awe and wonder and thanksgiving. There are many blessings that we can say, and we have said, and we shared them with you, but perhaps the simplest is Baruch Atah Adonai Hatov v'Hametiv. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, for all that is good, for all that is wonderful in our life, for the good things and for the blessings. For the good in us, which calls us to a better life, we give thanks. For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise. For the desire in us, which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful. For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, for vaccines. All praise to the source of being. Amen. Page 282, A Prayer for Peace. Shalom Rav. We'll take a moment for silent prayer.
May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Oh, say shalom. Im Roma. Oh, say shalom. Im Roma. Hu yaseh, hu yaseh, hu yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh, hu yaseh, hu yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh, hu yaseh, hu yaseh shalom. Alleluia. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down, bring peace down.
So we'll take a moment now to offer a prayer of healing and Misha Berach for those in our community and our extended communities who are in need of healing, those who are suffering with COVID, are those we know and those around the world. We hope that they should find peace and healing in their lives. We want to share the names of those, especially in our community, we are thinking of, and then invite you if you would like to add names of people you are thinking of as well. We mention the names of Ricky Siegel, Judy Steiner Lossberg, Paula and Bernd Simpson, Eva Layton, Karen Bernstein, Chaya Sachav Bat Yehuda Valea, Alana James, Yana Timko, Dr. Dmitry Zanzanin, Lynn Shabo, Shayna Stawicki, Elliot Pohl, Sanford Cohen, Jean Angus, Sarah Chachi, Kim Bennett, Sarah Bat Avraham Vasara, Igor Ilyasov, Ed Ozer, David Shlomo Gorny, Ronnie Goldberg, Andrea Jarzbiak, and Neil Tapley. There are names you would like to share and add at home. We invite you to do that as we join together on page 371 in the Misha Berach.
Bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us sing Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Amen. Thank you again so much, Cantor Korn. Leigh. It's just great to be with you, and I know that all of us at Temple Sholom are so grateful to you and so many of your colleagues who've joined us these past few months to share your voices and your creativity and your talents with all of us. It's been really a pleasure. We are going to be sending a survey to the congregation after Shabbat, so you can share some of your thoughts and feedback as we're really thinking about the different opportunities that are out there for cantors and musical leadership in our congregation. I'm very excited to share that Cantor Shani Cohen, who I know many of you know will be our interim cantor for this coming year, is actually going to be visiting us virtually as well next Shabbat on Shabbat morning on Saturday, May 1st. So we hope that you'll come to share that service with us and also have a chance at our Zoom Kiddush to meet her and just have an opportunity to hear a little bit about her before we welcome her to Vancouver. So, Cantor Korn, you can turn off your camera for a while now. I just want to share a few announcements before Rabbi Dan's drush tonight. So I'm going to just share my screen for a moment. Hang on. I can do this. There we go. So we are excited. Coming up soon, our annual class, our Taste of Judaism class that we run each spring will be taking place in May, starting May 4th on Tuesday nights for 3 consecutive weeks. This year will be taught by Rabbi Dan. It is a great opportunity for people who are curious about Judaism. People can be Jewish themselves. All of you congregants of Temple Sholom are welcome to attend if you'd like a bit of a refresher or really a kind of a bird's eye view of some of the big ideas about Judaism, or those who are interested in learning more about Judaism for any reason really. It's open to the entire community and will be on Zoom, so it's easy to access, and you just need to register online to get the link for that class. The other program that we want to mention coming up on Sunday, this coming Sunday, is a really wonderful seminar brought to you by lots of different organizations within our local Jewish community to really prepare ourselves for recovery, for thinking about what this year plus has done to our mental lives and our emotional and spiritual lives. A wonderful teacher, Dr. Betsy Stone, who actually taught me a few classes at HUC in New York, will be coming to us via Zoom to share a little bit about kind of what we can think about as during this year of loss and change and grief, and prepare us to move forward into this next stage of our lives. So that will be 1 o'clock on Sunday. It's free for the whole community, but it does require registration. So be sure to do that if you would like to join us. And that is all for now. I'll invite Rabbi Dan to share with us his words of Torah.
Thank you, Rabbi Brown. I do hope people will join us for those seminars, and of course next week for Cantor Cohen. Just before the start of the pandemic, Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, made headlines for her emotionally vulnerable and honest response to a simple question from a British television reporter, Tom Bradby. In a quiet moment during an on-camera interview, Bradby asked her, "How are you doing?" And the world kind of stopped for a moment when she opened up to him with a sigh and tears and said that she really wasn't doing so well, and how appreciative she was that he thought even to ask the question. I've been thinking a bit about that moment these last few weeks, in part because it was pre-pandemic and our worldly concerns, even those of an American pregnant woman of color, new member of the royal family, seemed relatively quaint compared to the burdens and the worries that we all have confronted these past 13, 14 months. But there is more to it than just reflecting on life pre and mid COVID. That question, how are you doing? It comes to mean something much deeper than the throwaway greeting that it was before the world turned upside down. Personally, I ask that question of people, and I really want to know, how are you doing? And if they're doing any better than me, which, to be honest, on many days is not a very high bar to overcome. And if they are doing better than me, I want to know, how are they doing better than me? What is their secret? Please share, because this is hard. It's wearing on me. And because I talk to dozens of you who I can only imagine through this screen right now, I'm not even seeing myself in the moment, I know that it's wearing on you too. Think about just one thing as an example. Think about our emails for a moment. Because for a while now, we have not been bumping into each other on the street or exchanging, hi, how are yous? If we're bumping into people on the street, we're actually doing this whole social distancing thing wrong. So email is actually, for most of us, and Zoom, but email in particular, our moment of connection. My emails that I receive from people and those that I send tend to begin with this: I hope you're well. I hope this email finds you healthy. I hope you and your family are healthy and safe during these uncertain and unprecedented times. And if you keep an active email account, like I do, you have likely received a note that includes a phrase like that, maybe in just the last few hours or even minutes, let alone the past year. And you've probably sent one of those as well. We all have this ubiquitous experience that all of us are going through and getting through to varying degrees. Claire Goggins-Sivitz, a digital marketing consultant who's based in Portland, Oregon, just south of us, she wrote, "You kind of feel like you have to start every email with that kind of line. And if you don't, you feel guilty." Goggins-Sivitz, who sometimes writes freelance for online publications, including, as I was reading, a lot of them about beer, described a recent exchange in which she emailed an editor and forgot to include those kinds of well wishes. And the editor replied to her email that she, the editor, hoped that Goggins-Sivitz was doing well, staying healthy, and staying inside. Goggins-Sivitz wrote, "I thought, oh man, I totally left that out of the email that I sent her." And so we can add feeling guilty for not having enough left in the tank to express empathy to others, to the self-inflicted wounds that we carry during COVID. In this week's Torah portion, Kedoshim, we read the powerful and imperative verse, Ve'ahavta l'reyecha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. For 20 years as a rabbi, I have been giving sermons on this parsha. I almost used one of them again tonight. I wrote this today, but I do have a rule, and that is that if I don't remember giving it, you won't remember hearing it. Generally, by the way, that rule has proven to be true. But in 20 years of expounding on this verse, I think in nearly all of them, I have focused on the reyecha part of the passage. Love your neighbor. In those sermons, love of self was really just a measure of how much we should love and care for others. But not tonight, not during COVID. Loving ourselves and before we care and worry about others, that too is part of the commandment. And maybe right now it's the most important part. Self-care has maybe never before been more important than in the midst of a pandemic, when so much more than our physical bodies are endangered. And now, more than 1 year into this pandemic, when our natural and instinctive resources for guarding and protecting our mind, body, and spirit may feel depleted, when a third wave is cresting, the answer to the question, how are you doing, if we are honest with ourselves, let alone others, is, I'm not doing so good. I can't do this much longer. I am so done with COVID, but apparently COVID isn't done with us. It's at this moment that love and care for self is more important than ever. The Babylonian Talmud states, if there is anxiety in a person's heart, let that person quash it. Yashihina. Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Asi dispute the meaning of this verse. One said they should forcefully push it, Yashihina, out of their mind. And the other said they should tell Yasihina others. This ancient text recognized that an important form of self-care is to share our concerns, our fears and our anxieties with those around us. In fact, it prioritizes those healing actions over trying to cope with anxieties on our own, especially coping with them by quashing them or repressing them. And so the reporter then asks the Duchess of Sussex, "How are you doing?" And she answers him honestly, "Not many people have asked if I'm okay." She sighs. The weight of all of it, before Oprah revealed all of it to us, is apparent in that sigh. And tears well up in her eyes, and she continues, "It's a very real thing to be going through all of this behind the scenes." And we know what all of this is. That honest telling of our truth to others, that's what the Talmud is talking about. That's the first step in self-care. Often we think of self-care as an action, going to the gym, a massage, coffee with a friend. I think self-care is deeper than that. But even still, those are the very things that we can't do right now. We are so often taught that nonstop action and achievements, that they are the key to a successful life. Yet our tradition teaches us that in fact, stopping, pausing, and recharging must be a priority. Take tonight, this moment right now, for example. All week, as Rabbi Brown mentioned, has been glorious outside. We went on walks, we sat in our gardens, watched the sunset, and tonight it's cold. As I write this, the forecast is rain, and if it's not raining, it's going to rain, which is not so hard to forecast in Vancouver. But us, we're at home. We're on our sofa, maybe with our iPad, maybe laying in bed watching services, listening to the beautiful and inspiring melodies of Cantor Korn, the teachings of Rabbi Brown, and I'm probably lulling you to sleep right now. There's something for everyone. Shabbat is one of Judaism's most prolific, most universal, most core and defining traditions, one that unites us across identity and observance. In the earliest words of Torah, in the very beginnings of Genesis, we read, "On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it kadosh, declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation God had done." God creates a protected space in time whose only purpose is to be a holy day of rest. No matter one's interpretation of Shabbat observance or even of God and commandments, we can see lessons and messages in our core Jewish text. Shabbat amounts to taking a step back and desisting from interfering with our world's ever-moving cogs and wheels. Shabbat calls for a moratorium on our weekly pursuits, to fill every moment that we have with Zooms and emails and phone calls, not on Shabbos. Productivity on Shabbat amounts actually to distancing ourselves from the mundane, disconnecting from the world, being less productive, focusing on those in closest proximity to ourselves. Indeed, focusing on ourselves. Shabbat asks us to answer for ourselves. How are you doing? And this puts us on a path and a quest to achieve spirituality. Just as our tradition says, and we said at Seder, Dayenu, it would have been enough, it is enough, so must we. In today's nonstop world, this idea is so countercultural, almost impossible to comprehend. For many, it's actually anxiety producing and provoking. If we're not doing, then who are we? This moment of crisis, when so many of us are forced into a state of retreat, it could also be, it has been, I think, an incredible opportunity to mull over and actualize some space and to shift focus into self-care. But only if we're honest with ourselves, only if we're vulnerable enough with ourselves to be honest with others about how we're really doing. Not so that they can help us, but so that in telling them, we can hear ourselves. Consider the vulnerability of stopping to honestly and thoughtfully answer that question, as the Duchess of Sussex did, as our Talmudic rabbis did. Consider it as an act of self-care, an actual response to the general insanity of this moment. Consider it as a specific action that we can take. Another step, another prayer that should be in our prayer book. Dear God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Acceptance, courage, and wisdom. And I would add a fourth, the humble vulnerability to be honest when asked about all of the above. Now, if this message tonight that I've shared with you touches on something that needs attention in your own soul, then as Rabbi Brown mentioned in our announcements, this Sunday at 1 o'clock, the Vancouver Jewish Federation, Jewish Family Services, in partnership with all of the synagogues and all of the agencies in our community, we're offering a seminar with clinical psychologist, Dr. Betsy Stone, who, as Rabbi Brown mentioned, teaches pastoral care at Hebrew Union College, the seminary that Rabbi Brown, Cantor, Korn, and I each attended. The seminar is entitled A Year of Upheaval: What Has Trauma Done to Our Bodies and Our Brains? And the link is on the temple website to sign up. This Shabbat, ask yourself the question, how am I doing? And then through the workshop or through services, with the help of people in your bubble, or with us, your community, your Klei Kodesh, your rabbis, listen for the answer and the self-care each of us needs, especially right now. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will, and may each of us find Shabbat Menucha, Shabbos rest and peace. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Yasher Koch. Dan, that was, I loved the flip of Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. That was really touching. Thank you.
Only took me 20 years to figure that one out.
In a pandemic. So friends, we will continue now as we prepare for the counting of the Omer and the season that we are in between Pesach and Shavuot. We are getting there. Tonight we begin the 27th day of the Omer, and so I will recite the blessing on behalf of all of us and then announce the day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy with commandments and commands us to count the days of the Omer. Hayom shiv'a ve'esrim yom, shehem shlosha shavuot v'shisha yamim ba'omer. Today is 27 days, which are 3 weeks and 6 days of the Omer. So Cantor Korn, as we continue with the end of our service, we'll invite those of you at home who would like to rise and turn to page 586 for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום, והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
A reading before the mourner's Kaddish. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, hope, dream, to be and oh to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. This evening we remember with reverence and for blessing the names of those for whom we say Kaddish. And I invite you as I read the name of your loved one, if you choose to stand as you honor their memory. We're in a period of Shloshim for Anne Henriquez, Daniel Nabarro, Mo Samuel, Maylor Valance, and Alan Zisblatt. And we mark Yartzeit this week for Alan Adirim, Carolyn Alperin, Lily Alvarez, Esti Amit, Kenneth Bailey, Monty Beckman, Shayna Beinart, Betty Bilsland, Gerald Churtko, Doug Cowling, Goldie Davis, Louis Easton, Oscar Eisenstadt, Benjamin Gilligson, Goda Goffman, Miriam Goldberg, Jack Golub, Gary Gutman, Lillian Halter, Joe Herman, Joyce Herman, Joseph Hoffman, Alejandro Jung, Mendel Konowski, Alan Kay, Cecil King, Ben Kramer, Tamara Leventhal, Louis Lieben, Robert Lockitch, Anita Mabe, Boris Manis, Michael Margolis, Ruby Morris, Rose Needleman, Bessie Newman, Jack Noonan, Michael Novak, Bella Odwack, Jack Ornstein, Irving Panoff, Esther Paskoff, Murray Pazim, Lilo Phillip, Evelyn Platel, Adeline Rabinovich, Jerry Rayson, Rabbi Harold Rubens, Toby Rubenstein, George Sass, John Scott, Charlene Simon, David Slavin, Buddy Smith, Wolf Smoose, Rita Sonner, Max Springman, Ruth Starin, Natalia Strasnick, Roxanne Thibault, Linda Vickers, Raymond Voisin, Alexander Weinberg, and Lou Young. There are other names to mention. I invite you to share them in your home or in your heart as we join in page 598 in these words of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'alal shmei dekudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlam Rabbah min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. Yehi zichronam livracha, may their memories always be a blessing. As we say together, amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Brown. Thank you, Cantor Korn. Leigh, it was just tremendous. You gave us such a gift tonight. And I know you and Rabbi Brown go way back, but I feel like I've known you forever now, too. So thank you for sharing your heart and your soul and your music and your gift with us. Again, to our congregation, please, when you get the email Motzi Shabbos after Shabbos with the survey, a reminder, Leigh has a job. We've hired an interim cantor. We can't hire Leigh. His congregation loves him. But this is going to help Cantor Cohen understand, what our congregation is looking for. It's going to help whatever the next part of our search process looks like. So please fill out the response when you can. And yes, Jenny, we will post the link to the event with the psychiatrist because we can't find the link on the website. So we will do that. Cantor Korn, a closing song?
So I want to say thank you. This was actually a lot of fun for me. And what a pleasure to lead with both of you. And Dan, I'm right there with you. It is the amazing thing about music. Experiencing music together, praying together, singing together, certainly make new friends. And you will never quite be the same after you've had that opportunity to share music with another person. So I hope for all of you who are joining us tonight, I hope this brings a little sweetness to your Shabbat. We're going to conclude with a melody of Adon Olam. I talked earlier about just the rich tradition of music and so many different ways that we encounter music and new ways that we can discover music. And this particular setting is actually a melody of another piece of Jewish liturgy. One of the piyutim, one of the sacred poems, one of the liturgical poems called Doror Yikra. They took the melody of Doror Yikra and they said, it's so good, and we're going to put it to Adon Olam. And who did that? An amazing community in Israel called Beit Tefillah Yisraeli. And if you ever have a chance to experience them, they're in Tel Aviv. What a wonderful minyan, and they do just amazing and inspiring things with music. So if this melody is familiar because you knew Doror Yikra, or because you know it is Adon Olam, or it's brand new, I hope that it brings a little more of that sweetness of Shabbat to you. Adon Olam Hashem Alach B'terem kol Yatzir Nivra Le'ei Nasa V'chefzo kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora Ve'hu Haya Ve'hu Adon Olam Hashem Alach B'terem kol Yatzir Nivra Le'ei Nasa V'chefzo kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Kichlon HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora Ve'hu haya ve'hu hove ve'hu yeh b'tifara. Adon Olam Hashem Alach B'terem kol Yatzir Nivra Le'ei Nasa V'chefzo kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora Ve'hu Haya Ve'hu Hove Ve'hu Yeh b'tifara. Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach 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 Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach.
Ah, it's fantastic. Thank you both. Shabbat Shalom to you and to your families. We will see you all, if you'll join us, well, you'll see us at least, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Reminder, there's also Minyan on Monday and Wednesday at 7:45. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So Leigh, we're still actually on audio for everybody, so we can't kibitz and chat, unfortunately.
Thank
you
you,
for being
Leigh.